Happy Wednesday! I am here today with my pretty much final 2020 video, I think. This is going to be all the series that I am wanting to finish during 2020. I have 10 series here that I would like to finish. Most of these series only have 1 or 2 books left that I haven't read yet. They're all ones I'm pretty much excited about. I'm trying to finish up as many series as I can since I have so many new ones that I start every year that I like to try to wrap up them as I go at least. So I'm going to try to finish at least these 10 series, but let's go ahead and talk about which series they are. The first one being the Program series. This is The Complication, which is book number 6. This is a series by Suzanne Young. This is a really interesting series. It's following kind of not really a dystopian world, just kind of futuristic-ish, but in the future there is a suicide epidemic among teenagers where it is seriously like crazy how many teenagers have been committing suicide in this book's world. And they develop a program which is basically they brainwash them or give them a lobotomy. Any kid who is showing any signs of depression basically gets entered into the program, and it's following them trying to figure out what is the root cause of this epidemic that's happening and how it can be stopped, how the program can be stopped because they're obviously messed up. And that's really the whole premise of the series, but this is book number 6. I think this is the last book in the series, but I don't really know. They do it kind of interesting. So there's 3 pairs of duologies basically, and each one is following either a different timeline or a different couple, different things like that. So this is the final one that I have not read yet. I think it's the final one, but there might be more coming out. Who knows? Hey guys, Jacinda from the future here. I wanted to pop back into this video that I have already pre-filmed because I have changed my mind about my next pick that I had decided. Originally I had this as the Three Dark Crown series, so I was gonna want to try to finish the Three Dark Crown series, but since then I have decided to give up on that series, so I am not going to continue on with it. So instead I am going to be adding to this list the Renegades trilogy. I have read the first 2 books, so I just have to finish up with the 3rd one. I think in November it came out, so I'm really excited to finish up this series. I really enjoyed this first one. Didn't enjoy the second one quite as much as the first one. It's definitely one of my favorite series right now. I have been loving this. It's all about superheroes. It's kind of like Batman mixed with The Incredibles, which is how I've pitched it many times on my channel, and I just love it. It's so much fun, and I can't wait to continue on with it. So now back to Jacinda from the past, and I'll be talking more about the other series that I'd like to finish this year. Next up is a bit of a different one for me, and that is, I don't know what this series is called, but the first one is Love and Gelato, and the second one is Love and Luck, and then they have a 3rd one coming out, and I don't remember the name of the 3rd one either. But I really enjoyed Love and Gelato quite a bit, so I'm excited to continue on with Love and Luck. I believe all 3 of them are European travel books, and I love travel novels, but they can be very hit or miss for me, but I really enjoyed Love and Gelato a lot, so I'm excited to pick up this one. And this one, they are in Ireland. I think this is following different characters than the first one as well, but they're in a kind of connected way, so I'm excited to pick up this one. Next up, my most anticipated one of this whole stack is, you probably guessed it, The Toll by Neal Shusterman. I cannot wait to finish the series and find out what happens next because that cliffhanger in Thunderhead really threw me for a loop, and I need to know how the series finishes, and I can't wait to read this one. If you don't know, I'm sure you do, the Arc of the Scythe series is a future utopian world where they have solved pretty much all humans' problems, all mankind's problems. They've solved sickness, they've solved hunger, they've solved death, like nobody dies, everything is great, but this is following kind of the darker side of the utopian world because there's no sickness, there's no hunger, nobody dies. The world is going to be overpopulated. So they have these people that they are called scythes. They're selected to basically kill people to keep the population manageable. And there's good ones and there's bad ones. There's one who uses their positions for good things. There's one who uses their positions in terrible ways. And this is following 2 people who get selected as an apprentice to a scythe. You don't get to choose to be a scythe. You have to be selected by one. So it's following 2 people in their apprenticeship throughout it, and then it kind of goes on from there. And it's crazy. It's an amazing series, and I'm really excited to continue on with it. Then I have the Folk of the Air series, The Cruel Prince. I still do not have Queen of Nothing, but I will be picking it up and reading it at some point. Hopefully this year I'll be wrapping up this trilogy. I have been really enjoying this trilogy, not quite as much as other people do. It's like not my favorite thing of all time, but I do enjoy it. I'm not in a super big hurry to finish it, but it's an enjoyable series. I've been liking it. It's a fun fairy book. I like that it's a little bit more of like a classic fairy tale type fae book rather than like Sarah J Maas fae, but still I've been really enjoying this series. I'm not going to give a synopsis on it because pretty much everyone knows what this series is about. Then I'd like to be wrapping up the Starbound trilogy with Their Fractured Light. This is the last one that I have to read. This is a series by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. It is a science fiction series, if you couldn't tell by the cover and the galaxy-ness of it. I have read the first 2 books of this and I really enjoyed the first one so much. I gave it 5 stars. The second one I did not enjoy as much and I gave it 3 stars. So I'm interested in seeing where I fall with this third one. This series is a space conspiracy romance series. Similar along the lines to Illuminae, like the plot of Illuminae reminds me of the plot of these books, with the government conspiracy type aspect and how each book is following a different couple. So if you like Illuminae and are looking for like Illuminae light, you would probably enjoy this series. Next up, I would like to finish the Queen's Rising series. I think this is just a duology, but it might be a trilogy, so then I would not be finishing it. But anyway, I would like to read The Queen's Resistance, which is the sequel to The Queen's Rising by Rebecca Ross. I read The Queen's Rising in 2018, like right when it came out, and I loved it. I loved it so much. And then I didn't continue on with the series, which is something I don't know why I didn't continue it. But I'm really excited to pick this one up. This series is following a fantasy world, but it's not magic heavy. There's like hardly any magic in it. It's following a girl and she's at this school being trained, and basically everyone has like a calling, whether it's to knowledge, to music, to different things like that, to learning, and that basically determines what your life is going to be, is what your calling is. And it's following a girl and she doesn't really have that calling like everyone else in her school does. So she basically just has to pick something because you have to be one and she doesn't have one. So it's kind of like a fine arts, like finishing school for girls type thing. And once you pick one, you get chosen by a patron who basically you like go and serve at their estate doing whatever your passion is. And that's like all she wants in the world is to do that. But she gets wrapped up in a rebellion and this whole thing happens. And I really enjoyed that first one. I really liked how each country in the books were really heavily influenced by a real life country, and I thought that a real life culture, I thought that was really fun. So I'm excited to continue on with it and see like if we get more of the world and more of these different cultures and stuff like that. So I'm excited to continue with this one. The next series that I'll be continuing on with and finishing is the Shattered Sea trilogy by Joe Abercrombie, consisting of Half the World and Half a War. This is the second one, which I have yet to read. I am really excited to read both of these. They are a very accessible adult fantasy series. They are not YA fantasy. I've heard somebody say that, but they're not. They're adult fantasy. This is a really accessible series to people who might be a little bit intimidated to go into adult fantasy. There's not a huge complex magic system. It's just very straightforward, but I really loved the whole construction of the story and the plot and how everything worked together. There was a plot twist I did not see coming. There was some that I did, but there's mostly ones that I did not see coming. And I really appreciated the first book a lot, and I'm excited to continue on with it and see where the story takes us. The first book is following a man who's in line to become the king, and he has a deformed hand, and because of that in his world he looked really down upon, and he is considered to be half a king because he does not have full power in his hand. Basically his birthright is stolen from him and he has to like be on the run and in hiding until he can come back and gain enough strength to take back his rightful throne, and that's following him. And I really liked him as a character. He's a very unique character. Like, not one that is super like amazing at every single thing, which is the character trope we see a lot, but he's a very realistic, imperfect, flawed character, and I really liked that about the series, or about the first book, was that everyone just seemed very realistic and real. So I really liked the first one, and I'm excited to continue on with it. Then I've got Dark Dawn. So this is the final book in the Nevernight Chronicle, which I would like to be finishing up this year. I have liked the Nevernight Chronicle, but not 100% loved it the same as everyone else does. I think it's good. I think it tries a little bit too hard to be what it is, and I wish it was pared back, just like pull it back a tiny bit. It's just a little bit much for me overall, but I still really enjoy the world that Jay Kristoff has built in this book, and I appreciate it, and I can see why everyone really loves this series, and I think it's good, but not the most amazing thing I've ever read. But I only have the third one left, and I'd like to see where the plot goes, because I do think it's an interesting plot line and an interesting world. Intriguing enough for me to continue with it, but once I continue with this one, I probably will unhaul this series because it's not something that I would probably reread again. And finally, obviously, I have Dark Age by Pierce Brown. I will be finishing the Red Rising series during 2020. As I said in my previous video about my rereads, I will be rereading all the Red Rising books up to the release of the final book, so I will be reading and finishing the Red Rising series this year as well. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and hearing me talk about all the book series that I would like to finish in 2020. Hopefully I'll finish more series than just these ones, but at least these ones I will be hoping to wrap up this year. But thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!